The Zarkari Dominion catalogued Earth as a minor Class II anomaly, primitive, divided, inefficient. Their ships had reached the edge of the Terran system within weeks. There was no shield grid. No coordinated planetary defense. Just noise. Countless transmissions spilling into space, unfiltered, disordered, static, wrapped in confusion. High strategist Vectal considered it beneath concern. They have no centralized command, he noted in his report. They are vulnerable to rapid psychological suppression. A preliminary analysis of human content returned strange tags: satire, sketch comedy, stand-up, absurdism, data. His officers asked what shitpost meant. He told them it wasn't important. The operation was given the ceremonial name Cleansing Whisper. It would begin with orbital disruption, followed by neural suppression signals over major cities. A standard three-phase domination sequence. Yet before the sequence could initiate, Earth responded, not with silence, nor with surrender, but with intensified transmission. Strange programming flooded their monitoring decks. Grainy loops of humans slipping on ice. Edited videos of political leaders saying nonsense. A clip of a man screaming at a goose. Entire episodes of fictional court trials where no one respected authority. Their linguists flagged a surge in linguistic paradoxes and false logic humor. One meme, translated, read, "Don't let your dreams be memes." No one understood it, but no one could look away. On day 3, a junior officer was caught attempting to imitate a human's sarcastic tone. He was relieved of duty and committed to recalibration. By day 7, recalibration units were overwhelmed. Vectal ordered stricter content filters. The filters broke down after encountering recursive loops in a series of YouTube videos described only as cursed compilations. The transmissions were clearly deliberate. Each contained embedded cultural norms, irony, double meaning, self-deprecation, defiance through laughter. The Dominion had no language for it. In the Zarkari hierarchy, emotions were utility-driven. There was no concept of laughing at misfortune, nor of embracing contradiction. And yet, as one comms technician whispered while shaking, "I can't stop watching," an internal report surfaced warning of mental feedback erosion. Soldiers stationed aboard the Spear of Doctrine had begun quoting Earth philosophers mid-briefing. Plato, Nietzsche, Carlin. One officer painted a mural in his bunk that read, "The only way to win is not to play." That officer was executed. His replacement defected within 24 hours. When Vectal learned that an entire battalion had halted drills to debate the meaning of an Earth broadcast where a human fell in love with a robot toaster, he activated Protocol Null. Total blackout, all external media severed. But the damage was done. They had allowed it in. It lived now, replicated inside their thoughts. One communications officer, before detonating his own station, left a final message etched into the wall. "We thought they were chaotic. But they are architects of chaos. We thought we'd confuse them. Instead, they taught us to question ourselves." Vectal's final order for the day was clinical. "Prepare neural cleansing for all occupied units." But he hesitated. His eyes lingered on one of the Earth clips still playing. A man dressed as a banana was being chased by dogs, shouting something about taxes and nihilism. Vectal blinked. And though he never admitted it, for just a moment, he almost laughed. The first wave of Earth's transmissions seemed random. Then it escalated. Within hours, Zarkari monitoring decks were saturated. Each signal was laced with disorder. Vibrant humans screaming in joy, rage, or confusion. No structure. No message. But it worked like a virus. Phase 1 of Cleansing Whisper failed. The orbital disruption protocol was overridden by local AI units looping something called Vine compilations. Officers ordered to purge human media instead found themselves dissecting layers of sarcasm. A clip of a courtroom where no one obeyed the judge created unrest. A strange Earthman shouted, "I am the law," before falling into a cake. No one could explain the function of this ritual. By day 10, Dominion fleet personnel were developing unapproved behaviors. An engineer aboard the Doctrine Spear built a crude plush doll of something called a Shrek. She was court-martialed, but 10 others defended her, citing emotional resonance. When interrogated, one said, "His swamp is sacred." The virus adapted. Earth's broadcasts became more surgical. Videos began with harmless animals but morphed into monologues on cosmic insignificance, ethical AI, the meaning of dreams. Soldiers watched in silence, some weeping. A feed described the futility of conquest through the metaphor of a dog chasing its tail for eternity. Attempts to counter-broadcast Dominion propaganda failed. Zarkari messages were met with immediate parody. Their emperor's speech was auto-tuned and set to music, becoming a galactic hit titled "Bow Before the Algorithm." One elite warrior publicly renounced his caste, quoting, "They have no emperor, yet they fear no chaos. Perhaps we fear the wrong things." Punishments accelerated. Dissent spread faster. Zarkari sociologists began defecting. "We misunderstood them," one wrote before vanishing. "What we saw as weakness is merely unfiltered experience. We valued unity. They weaponized contradiction." Entire fleets began locking themselves down, disabling internal channels to block Earth's influence. But soldiers found ways to store memes offline, swapping them like forbidden scripture. They created secret groups, some calling themselves Divine, others Cursed Descendants. A transmission of a man dancing alone in traffic became a symbol of liberation. His message: "Do it for no reason. That is freedom." A research cruiser encountered a looping video titled "How to Build a Cult Using Only Vibes." By week's end, half its crew followed a new philosophical system based on it. The captain submitted a resignation letter in interpretive dance. Fleet Command began collapsing under its own information restrictions. Order was issued to disconnect all external sensors. Some officers obeyed. Others refused, saying they needed to understand Earth fully to protect the Dominion. Their final transmission: "Maybe we were the primitive ones." By the time the high strategists met again, it was not to plan Earth's conquest, but to question if they even understood war anymore. One asked, "What happens when a species does not fight, but instead teaches others to laugh at fighting?" No one answered. The room was quiet, save for the soft echo of a human child's laughter, still playing from a terminal no one dared turn off. Zarkari society had functioned unchanged for millennia, rigid, stratified, efficient. Now, under the pressure of human broadcasts, fractures appeared. Not in their fleets or weapons, but in their certainty. The first signs were minor: soldiers failing to report for drills, citing philosophical exhaustion. Officers dismissed it as sabotage until reports multiplied. Entire units began pausing operations to discuss the meaning of Earth content. A viral human phrase, "I'm just a guy," spread uncontrollably. What did it mean to just be? Why did humans speak proudly of being average, flawed, uncertain? The Zarkari had no language for such a concept. That absence became a wound. On outer colonies, enforcement units stopped punishing dissent. Mimetic symbols, frogs, dancing skeletons, confused dogs, appeared etched on Zarkari buildings. Messages scrawled in Terran script: "We are all cringe. And that's okay." Cultural identity unraveled. Civilians questioned the caste order, the wars, even reality itself. Some planets declared neutrality. Others adopted human timekeeping, holidays, idioms. On one moon, children formed their own tribunal and ruled that the emperor was mid. Efforts to restore ideological control failed. Zarkari psychologists turned to studying meme formats to predict behavior. Their models collapsed. Nothing human followed pattern. Fleet officers began quoting Earth fiction during planning sessions. One admiral shut down a campaign citing the Matrix as reason. "What if we're not real?" Command dismissed him. The next day, he defected, leaving behind a note reading, "There is no spoon." A schism formed. Loyalists saw Earth's influence as infection. Reformers saw it as awakening. Battles broke out, not with humans, but between Zarkari. Entire command ships disabled themselves to avoid being ordered to suppress thought. A civil fleet declared, "We choose the memes. We choose madness." Human transmissions adapted again. Now they included tutorials on detachment from outcome, mockery of imperial pride, joy in purposelessness. Soldiers exposed to them no longer obeyed hierarchical commands. They began making choices. Unsupervised. The Dominion had no contingency for autonomy. Emissaries sent to Earth for negotiation returned changed. They spoke in paradoxes. They laughed. One refused to give his report, instead offering a performance called Stand Up, in which he mocked the Dominion's war effort, while others applauded. He was executed. But the footage was leaked. It became the most downloaded file in Zarkari history. The Emperor, silent for weeks, issued a command. Silence the transmissions. Engineers tried. But the feeds no longer originated from Earth. The culture had spread, self-replicating inside Zarkari minds, devices, language. A philosophy disguised as nonsense. Humanity never invaded. They simply opened a window, and the Zarkari jumped through it. The final breach wasn't digital, it was internal. Zarkari leadership collapsed under the weight of invisible influence. No missiles had been fired. No cities destroyed. Yet control was lost. High strategist Vectal, once unshakable, now sat silently in his command chamber, watching a human cooking show. He didn't understand the ingredients, but something in the presenter's calm absurdity unnerved him. Why did humans create things just to smile? Military compliance dropped to historic lows. Units refused to deploy without vibe checks. Zarkari war doctrine, once the envy of half the galaxy, was now the subject of sarcastic performance art. On one station, officers reenacted key victories while misquoting Earth's Monty Python. They claimed it was satire. No one could tell anymore. Attempts to purge cultural drift were abandoned. Courts couldn't convict soldiers for referencing fictional humans. Legal codes buckled under semantic overload. One tribunal failed to process a defendant's only statement. Ratioed by destiny. The judge resigned mid-session. "I don't know what anything means anymore," he confessed. "I miss when war made sense." In private, commanders admitted what lower ranks already knew. The Zarkari had lost. Not to weapons, but to wonder. To confusion. To jokes with no punchline. An entire civilization undone by the idea that purpose wasn't fixed. That's when the message came. A Zarkari deep space cruiser had captured a human. Not a soldier, not a spy, just a traveler. He'd wandered into contested space broadcasting an ancient Terran podcast titled Why We Lie to Ourselves. The cruiser's crew had listened. Then they mutinied. The man was taken to high command, silent the whole way. When interrogated, he said, "You've already fought the war. In your heads. We just reminded you." Vectal, face hollow, asked. "Reminded us of what?" The human shrugged. "That everything you believe is only true if you stop laughing." That night, without orders, without any declaration, the Zarkari fleets began withdrawing. Not in formation, not with ceremony. Quietly. Aimlessly. Some drifted into deep space. Others landed on neutral moons and simply stopped. On the Dominion homeworld, riots gave way to strange festivals. Art, once illegal, exploded. Young Zarkari formed bands. The casteless wore human clothing and debated cinema. A school replaced its curriculum with Earth literature. Another replaced its chancellor with a sock puppet. For transparency. In a sealed chamber, Vectal recorded one final statement for posterity. "We sought to conquer minds. But humans don't conquer. They infect. They plant ideas with no roots, no logic, and watch us dismantle ourselves chasing meaning." He stared at the recorder for a long moment. Then added, almost inaudibly, "I understand now, the goose was symbolic. And so, without ever lifting a weapon, humanity had ended a war. They didn't defeat their enemy. They rewrote them.